abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer.
Do doctor on call now.
Good evening, folks, and once again, welcome to K105 FM and also to our viewers on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11. Of course, I'm Godfrey Augustine, and it's our first Doctor on Call program for 2021. Last year, or should I say a year ago? No, not at all. Last year, we ended our program, reminding folks about the importance of reflection, reflecting on 2020 as we made plans to move into 2021. And 2021 is here. And of course, I think it was fitting and proper to bring my favorite girl, as I would call her, Dr. Sonia Nixon. She's with us this evening. Doc, welcome. Happy New Year. All the wonderful wishes, everything is coming your direction from me, and by extension, the GBN.
Well, thank you, and Happy New Year to you too. Happy year.
Yes.
Because I think we need to look big at this year, which I call 2021 more time.
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of the things that we've had are still going to be with us. There's no change from Friday to now, from Thursday to now.
Right.
We're going to decide, like we spoke about in our last session, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. We're going to decide how much control we have over this, and some people don't have, but we're going to decide how much of brethren we're going to be to each other.
Uh-huh.
Because there's no island, no man is an island. It's just one big problem. I saw a thing today saying we're not all in the same ship. We're all in the same storm.
Uh-huh.
Okay, some of us in big old boat and some of us in cardboard box. Okay. So we're gonna have to make sure that everybody survives the storm. This is really a love thy neighbor situation, and I hope we can all think about it and seek help, because sometimes you go to the neighbor to get the help, because your neighbor may not understand that you're really truly having problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to wish everybody in Grenada a good year, a year where we can come together and conquer anything. I think our biggest challenge still remains COVID-19. Mm-hmm. That's what we see. But all the health problems we've had before are there, and probably worse, because there's just been so much focus on just COVID-19 that we may not be as prepared for the other things, or as aware and engaged in the other areas as possible. And so I think we need to start off on a note of taking stock and promising ourselves good things like exercise and how we eat, and ensuring there's food and stress management,
mm-hmm.
And especially for children who just got sent, stay home for another few days until we tell. Probably next week, Monday. I don't know when they're going to go to school. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, there are a lot of things happening, and we're going to really need each other. We can't only depend on the government. We can't depend on the government and hope that they will guide us appropriately. That's what we would like from them. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for ourselves and for one another. Yes. In some emotional, spiritual, whatever way, we are responsible for each other, especially for our families.
Yes, indeed. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to just backtrack a little bit. And I want to say, folks, in addition to what Doc has said, that it is so important to be concerned about our fellow men. But just before that, we have to be concerned about ourselves, because if you're not 100%, you definitely won't be able to give 100%. You know, you can only give what you have. So I think the first responsibility rests with us. One, to ensure that we take good care of ourselves. And there's so much we can say around that, because we're just coming from the Christmas holidays. And, you know, Doc, we heard of a rather unfortunate accident in the Liverpool Bathway area.
Yeah. I saw that and read. I heard that patient was flown out.
Yes,
and
yes, he was.
That's good. I don't know whether the prognosis is excellent, is good. You know, the possibility of how what would happen. But I think he needs to be in a place where there's superior support. So when he has the worst outcome, we will not have the responsibility. There's just too much tissue loss in that from that thigh.
Yeah, but I wanted to say this. A young lady who was present and actually saw what happened was relating it to me. And from indications, there was some speeding involved on both sides, you know. And I want to say, because this is on the backdrop for what I said earlier as it relates to ensuring that we take care of ourselves. A lot of times there are things we can prevent. There are a lot of times there are things we can prevent if we just stop for a moment and think seriously about what we're doing, and also think about the consequences or what can result from our actions. So
I'm actually glad you brought up the issue of speeding, because I was speaking to an insurance executive today and saying, "Oh boy, you guys must have so much less claims." And I said, "No." So you'd think that with lockdown and we've had lots of curfews. We've asked people. We stopped people going out because there wasn't any permission to go out and eat out and conglomerate, right? Congregate in any way, and they had even more serious, bigger claims.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to figure out what's going on. I was saying to her, maybe we need to think: Are our drivers stressed? Are they driving under the influence, or are they under the influence because there's so much stress? What's going on? We really need to figure out what's going on with our population in relation to how they manage themselves. And you were talking about self-care. Remember, when you fly on an aircraft, right, and the flight attendant gives you she gives directions as the safety directions. And she says, if the oxygen pressure drops in the cabin, these masks will drop down. If you travel with a dependent person, put your mask on first. So you have to put your mask on first before you can help the person next to you.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
You must be ready to do this. So we kind of need to look and see what are the areas. And maybe that's a whole program on its own. Dealing with stress in this time where most of our liberties have kind of been suspended. I won't say taken away. We still have a right to go out and do the things that are required for living basically comfortably. But the other things that we've become accustomed to, going to the beach at night and some of your friends and drink beers and going to a bar and going to the movies and going to the theater, going and party and just go do a rum on a cruise. Those are things that people bust stress, and we kind of don't have that anymore.
But I don't understand it, because and yes, I do accept the fact that stress can cause people to react in different ways. But my argument here is there are so many examples of what can happen when we do not pay attention to our actions, when we do not exercise good judgment. I mean, there's so much examples out there. There is another one. But what you're going to find is that in a day or two, a couple of days, you're going to see the same kind of behavior being exhibited by other individuals. And this is what confuses me.
How soon we forget, huh? That's one of the challenges, because we do forget very quickly. And also, that can happen to me. That's the attitude.
Yeah.
It always happens to the other person. I'm sorry about my nose. My allergies are giving me hell tonight. But it doesn't happen to me. It won't happen to me. I remember asking people, inviting women to, come and get screened. Let's talk about breast cancer. And they tell the truth that I can't catch them. They can't catch that. People always feel it's human to feel invincible.
Yeah.
To feel that you're immune from it. And maybe it's the reason why a lot of us feel we shouldn't wear a mask and we shouldn't do the physical distances as required, and we shouldn't do the hygiene practices and, coughing into your sleeve, washing your hands, just respecting other people's space, other people's airspace. Because we feel that, that can't catch me. That can't do me nothing. So maybe even stress, asking people to do those actions is a source of stress to them, because they don't have to think about something else that they should or shouldn't do, fall within a certain regimented pattern of behavior, because people just like to do whatever they feel like.
But you see, Doc, and that takes us to the point you raised earlier, as it relates to thinking about our fellow men and caring for them and showing, that kind of well-being. Because, okay, let's just stick with that accident, for example. One can understand the pain that the family and loved ones of this gentleman now have to go through. I'm sure they worried that he may possibly lose his limbs or one of his limbs.
I'm surprised that guy lived.
Well, there we go again.
I saw the wound, and somebody was very smart with a tourniquet above it. Very, very smart. And whoever that was, I want to tell them thank you very much and congratulate them for that very important first aid move. Put a tourniquet, and they put a tourniquet on his arm as well.
Yeah.
Right? But he also had probably a large vessel that was broken. Okay. So, yes. Because you break your femur, you're like, that's long bone in your thigh. I mean, those muscles are the biggest muscles in your body. You lose a lot of blood from them. You have big femoral arch, you get all that blood pumping from the heart and stuff. I was surprised. I'm surprised he survived, because if you're in Godfrey, you're not close to any real hospital, right? And any first aid services. So I really want to congratulate that person and hope other people know that when they go there, it's not a spectacle. I'm sorry they didn't cover up the wound and stuff on their own, because it was just, first of all, I didn't need to see that on the internet. Yeah. I didn't even need to see that. That's one of the things we also have to learn, that kind of privacy. I've seen us doing it with dead bodies on the road, well, a lot. When I lived elsewhere, they'd also have accidents and dead bodies and everything. I would just be cussing, and I'd tell my friends, take it off. Take it off from your Facebook page. Take it off. I'm constantly telling them to take it off. Because
it's not the best.
That kind of respect for people who are in a situation of that level of being a victim is we must be very sensitive to these things. Yeah. And we must not get accustomed to seeing that.
Well, it's not something nice to see, not at all.
We must not, that don't bother me anymore. I see that thing so much. No, we mustn't get accustomed to see it. I worked in the emergency room, and I've seen these things, but I see it from a physician standpoint, right? How am I going to fix this? How am I going to prevent death? How am I going to prevent suffering? But I don't like to see it. I don't scream and stuff, right? But I'm also not dramatizing. Wow, did you like something in the ear? No. Because this is a person, it's not a wound. This is a man who suffered an accident with severe injuries, right? And you can see his face was so calm. He may have been just too much in shock because of loss of blood and shock because of emotional shock, to even respond normally, because somebody would have been feeling, he wasn't doing that. So we have to be very careful that we don't want to go see these things. That when somebody gets injured, that we can do what we have to do first aid and cover it and create it and maintain their privacy. That's very important.
Yeah. So I just want to, I want to continue to just impress upon us that it is important. Accidents do happen. Things happen. But my position here is things we can avoid. Let's avoid it. You'd be saving yourself a whole lot of pain. You'd be saving your family, your friends, your loved ones a whole lot of pain, and
the health system a lot of money.
And the health system a lot of money. You know, so all of that is so important, and I just want to put it into context as we, you know, as we've just entered a new year, and some of the things that we should be paying attention to and giving serious consideration to as we seek to make decisions or change our lifestyle habits to better the way we live.
And speaking of lifestyle, there are two things that come with stress. One, alcohol, and two, tobacco and other forms of smoking and drugs and stuff. All right? I am hoping that those of us who have those challenges would understand that this is not a good choice. This is not a good choice for how you're gonna manage your stress and all the rest. People who are having challenges with stress management need to reach out. I know earlier in the year, last year, when the whole COVID crisis came on, the Ministry of Social Development had started a program to help people to cope. Maybe they will roll it out again, because I think this surge that occurred a couple of weeks ago, and I think the fact that we have a new strain of the virus, which is actually in Jamaica.
Yes.
Out of 20 people, they had 4 people who had the strain, and we don't know. Well, I guess we'll be testing, but and then we know we haven't really learned the first strain of the virus, right? And we have learned it. It's new. It's too new for us to know everything, okay? But to have to deal with the second, we don't know what the second strain is going to do. They claim it's more infectious, so it'll be much easier to catch. Mm-hmm. All right. So I know people are very concerned and very worried. You know, kids have been asked to stay home because school should have started yesterday and today, or children at home. That's an added stress. You know, parents don't have where to leave their kids. Parents with little children who normally go to daycare aren't able to do. So there's a lot of burdens that people are carrying. What if they lock down again? The people who earn fee for service, you know, my special vulnerable group, the lady who has to go out and wash to make a living and she can't be on the road. The lady who goes out and clean, the man who goes out and does a day's work, people who give fee for service. People like me, I go to my office, right? But I might be able to survive a lot faster than people who have 5 children to take care of, right? Even if I don't work, I don't go to work. The person who needs to earn money today, who doesn't have a fund from which they can draw money to live, okay? Because they have to feed their 5 children. Those are things that are coming across their mind. But I want to, in relation to the smoking and the substance use and the alcohol, which comes in as substance use, as a substance, I want to speak specifically to young people, okay? Tobacco is very, very addictive, okay? Alcohol is addictive, okay? You get dependent on it, you develop dependence and you have to have it. But those are also things that are going to affect the other things we're trying to work with, the chronic diseases we're trying to avoid, right? My favorite sentence, and I saw it commented about tobacco. Tobacco kills 50% of the people who use it or contribute to their death. It may not kill you directly, but it contributes. But guess what? That's the people who use it. But remember, the people who do secondary and tertiary smoke. We're going to talk about that after. Most cancers, if not all, have tobacco as their primary risk factor. Mm-hmm. Problems with circulation, problems with just the way you appear. I mean, if you look at somebody who smokes and they stop smoking for 2 weeks, their features change. It's like the nicotine dries you out. You start smoking in 2 weeks, I want your face look like somebody take a pot of oil and rub you down and polish you. You look different. You put on weight, okay? Because nicotine actually cuts your appetite. But also we're seeing that our young women who smoke have a greater risk of developing breast cancer, right? Prostate cancer in our men. All of those things come with tobacco. But alcohol is also now being manifested as a risk factor for cancers. Okay? So we're really in trouble. And what I understand, take a drink to keep you calm and stuff. Be careful of that addictive tendency that alcohol has, and the addictive tendency that tobacco has. Tobacco is very, 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 very addictive. That's why it's so hard. Okay? So, because apart from that, we already, because of our lifestyle, what we eat, how we live, the sedentary lifestyle, mean that we're not as active as our grandparents were, right? Take bus from, I guess, Martley Hill to go to Convent, stand up and wait for the bus. Why? You got what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. People still walk a mile to school. There's nothing wrong with that, right? We're not as active. We drive. We sit all day in our offices. I mean, I'm very guilty. I sit in my office, and when I don't have patients, I'm doing a lot of work on my computer. You have to be aware that you have to find a way to become active and to make up for the activity that you should have indulged in. Okay, and that you don't go back to the eating of the bad food. There's convenience food. I'm not saying don't have one of those fancy foods once in a while, but some people make it a habit every day. I see lines, right?
Oh yeah.
In the middle of town, waiting for stuff. So there are a lot of things that we have to take stock of, because we have this cloud called COVID-19 hanging over us that's making us forget that the other things that we need to do anyway. And further to that, COVID is going to be around for a little while, but also people who have disease like hypertension, diabetes, who have had cancers and other illnesses, right? Just aged people, older people, right? If you smoke and drink, your immune system is compromised, we are at greater risk for if we do come in contact with the virus, for developing disease, not just having had contact with the virus, but for becoming ill enough to die. Okay, so I want the people who drink and the people who smoke to remember that those are things that will contribute, because it's a whole big cycle. One thing leads to the other, and you get closed in this capsule, and there's no way out unless you decide, I'm going to start to live differently.
Indeed. Because, with COVID around, and I guess it's no secret now that we've recorded one death.
It's a very, very, very sad. It's a very sad thing, and I hope people are taking it seriously, because it can happen here too, right? It can happen here too, and I'm very sorry. I'm really in sympathy with that family, because I'll tell you what. One of the things is that we think it can't happen to me, right? It can happen to anybody. It could have happened in anybody's family, and I'm really very sorry that this family is experiencing this kind of stuff, because it's our first. It's a history-making event, right? It's the first person to die of COVID. People probably would ostracize the family. Don't understand that they are just, all that's happening in that family is that they have lost a member of their family, and the grief is profound, regardless of the cause of death. The man could have fallen from a mango tree and broke his neck, and died. But we have to remember that there's a family in grief, and all the opinions and the fighting and all the rest is not going to help us to get through this easier, right? We just have to show some sympathy to the family and understand that we're all in the same storm.
Indeed. We have a short break coming up, but just before we go to that, Doc, coming from Christmas, we know what usually happens. A lot of sweets, a lot of salt. You mentioned it earlier, the alcohol. And I'm hoping that people, yes, of course, we wanting you to enjoy, Christmas and all of that. But we try to impress upon you the importance of managing what you put in, because it can have significant effects on your health and, of course, your pocket by extension. So we trust that people, did exercise good judgment, and they were moderate in their consumption of the sweets and the salts, Mm-hmm. And so with COVID, it is very, very important that we don't forget, and those of us who have those conditions, we don't forget that we are at a greater risk of being in problems with COVID, with these chronic conditions, you know. And so as we move along in 2021, we need to pay very special attention to how we manage these conditions, those of us who have it, how we manage it, and you know, so that we don't create problems for ourselves. Doc, you've said on many occasions on these programs that having one of those conditions is not a death sentence, but we can do things or we can not do things to help ourselves. And we're going to talk a bit more about some of these things when we come from the break. So we're going to take our break right now. When we come back, folks, we're going to talk a bit on the connection with some of these chronic conditions and COVID. And also, we mentioned the stress factor earlier, how we deal with it, and so. So we take a break, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, well, man, that's you making that trip. Why doing all this more?
Things tight since COVID, you know. And Christmas coming, I the toys to build, and my house and my car to repair, and the wife go and chill with and what you want me to do?
I'm expected to do all that with more.
But what you want me to do?
Why don't go down my communal? You don't have to pay them until January. They have 20,000 in giving away, and the interest rate low.
And listen to me, I try them orders and them people look good. Who they want them on?
Well, watch, like you have more than your ears. Choose your loan at communal, giving you the money for what you want to do. It's a loan for you.
You know what? I'll get them a little try.
Listen, where you going all this money? Don't need it. Leave the mud, man. When you go down there, the rate's low. Low.
How going on, boy?
Hey, good old things.
Hey, they easy?
Yeah.
Boy, in line, boy. Your house looking a real good day.
Boy, it's thanks to the hard-working and professional staff at the Housing Authority of Grenada. They handled me real nice. They did my plan, they did the construction, and I didn't even have to worry about a thing. They were there with me every step of the way, supervising the job, asking me about my concerns, giving me feedback as the house took shape. They were there from start to finish, and even put the keys in the palm of my hand. I give them an A++ for customer service.
Oh, it's people from housing bad, boy.
Boy, not bad. Excellent. If you're thinking about constructing your home, why not consult the Housing Authority of Grenada? You could visit them right down in the Sandino complex, or give them a call, 440-1015 or 440-1016, or check out their website, hag473.com. They go handle you. They go jog your blocks, they go draw your plan, they go tote your materials. Hey man, where you going? The Housing Authority of Grenada is your choice for affordable housing and a stress-free construction experience.
Exploring the beaten trails, discovering uncharted terrain, connecting with people and places, giving a renewed appreciation for our flora and fauna. We are out and about, from the crystal white sands of Grandin's Beach to the cascading and majestic tumble of Concord Falls, the meandering of the St. John's River, or our undulating mountain ranges. We are out and about. Saturdays, live on GBN Television, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. Out and about, rediscovering the untamed beauty of Spice Country.
Grenada's Chief Medical Officer has ordered that all confirmed positive COVID-19 individuals, their contacts, and members of their household must remain in quarantine or isolation for 14 days. Anyone who fails to comply with this order will be in breach of the Public Health COVID-19 Regulations 2020 and is guilty of an offense. Upon summary conviction, that person will be liable to a penalty of up to $10,000. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back, folks. It's Doctor and Call, and Dr. Sonia Nixon is with us as our first live Doctor and Call program for 2021. And of course, we're looking at 2021 vision. Yes, indeed. And I'm sure we all have a vision for 2021. And I trust at the forefront of that, we have our health and well-being, because if we don't have that, meaning if it's not up to Mac, we can have some problems there. So, Doc, I want us to sort of go into a little detail as it relates, one, to the chronic conditions that exist among us as a people here in Grenada, and the level of risk that is involved as it relates to the presence of COVID-19. I think this is something that we need to seriously remind, our fellow Grenadians of.
So before we go there, there's one thing I don't want us to forget, because you might at the end, and that is management of our funds. And I remember asking people, don't spend all your money at Christmas. We had to be very frugal. Enjoy yourself, but make sure there's none. They say January, that January is 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we get paid from December 17th, and that's, for some people that's 2 weeks before they normally get paid. But then there's things like, you still have your car payment, you still have the car insurance, because some people like me who have to pay my insurance in January, you still have your mortgage to pay, and some people have school fees to pay, right? And you have to pay back the baby, you have to start paying a babysitter. And the other thing, insurance on your house, whatever it is. There are lots of bills that come in January. So I'm going to ask people, make sure that you sit and you budget very well, because January is really 2 months.
It is. It is. And these things, people might be asking, how does managing our monies have any bearing on our health? But if we don't do that, and we are placed in a position where we have to eat probably ripe bananas, what happens to us?
Ripe bananas is good, but we have to eat wind, stew with and sun sauce.
But then we are going to be taking in quite a bit of sugar. And of course, we know what happens there. So, folks, you just have to look closely, and you would see how all of these things can impact our health and our well-being.
So, like I said earlier, we inside a bubble. Your life is in a contained space, and it has certain phenomena that exert some power, some influence over what happens. And our physical health is not separate from our mental and social and spiritual and even financial health. Everything is in one, everything depends on each other. And when one breaks down, it will affect the other, unless the other can come up and compensate quickly. But it's just one big you with different facets of your life. And then big you, but there's a family, the other people depend on you. And I want families to listen in particular, because the lifestyles that we create in families, our children will learn from them, and they would grow up with living, with being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas is Christmas, okay? Everybody, Christmas cake, wine, cereal, ginger beer, all this stuff, too much sugar. But it's still very important to make sure that you keep in touch with what your readings and your pressure and your diabetes in particular. It's funny because hypertension, high blood pressure, is the chronic disease that has the biggest challenge. Mm-hmm. The Americans saw that the people who had the most problem with COVID-19 were the people who had high blood pressure. I would have thought diabetes and even cancers, yes, they do, but high blood pressure. And a very large percentage of our population probably has the biggest chronic disease, simply because you will have high blood pressure alone. But almost everybody who has diabetes also has high blood pressure. So we have a very large percentage of our population, probably 17%. So 17 out of every 100, that's a lot of people, okay, with hypertension, or probably more, right? If you have not been controlling your pressure, salt ham is salt ham and it tastes nice, but eat a little today and a little tomorrow. And if you have any left, I know that ham bone soup is good, but ham bone soup tends to be very salty.
Yes.
Because that ham is steeped in salt. You know, today I was talking to some friends and colleagues about the level of cancers in our society. So all those preserved meats, like the pigtail and the salt beef and the ham and those kind of preserved, right, meats, and maybe the sodium nitrite, right, the saltpeter that we use. But that is supposed to be a carcinogen. It's supposed to be to make us it is likely to cause a generation of cancers. Is that what is our problem? Because we've been using a lot of salt meat for a long time.
Yeah.
And we used to make salt meat. You go and buy a pack of saltpeter and you get a big syringe and you do your pork leg and you do it over and you do it over and you put it to dry. Okay? So it is important that we really figure out how we're going to contain the things that we can identify as being poisonous, toxic to all of us. I'm going to ask people, I'm going to make a petition that people who know they have high blood pressure and diabetes, because this is the time when the hospital gets overwhelmed, right? Because everybody gets out of control, because they don't eat and they don't take the medications because they want to drink and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can fix yourself with your primary care physician, whether it's in your health center or you go to a private doctor, wherever you go, before you get to the hospital. I'm going to ask everybody who has diabetes and hypertension to make sure and get checked before the end of the week. Please, get your blood sugar checked. Go to the health center and ask us to check it for you. Trust me, she'll check it for you free of cost. Or go to your physician and say, look, this is a good time to see how I've been doing. I've been a naughty girl or naughty boy in the last year. I'm coming to see what my blood sugar and my pressure. I want an annual physical. Or if you already have a chronic condition, this is a good time to look at it. Right? Please, by the end of the week, go and let somebody check your blood sugar and your blood pressure for you. It's going to be hard having to be concerned about keeping coronavirus infection away when you also are sick with, complications of diabetes and hypertension, and of course, cancers. Right? So I'm going to ask you to go and get checked. As by the end of the week, we still have 3 days left in the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And some people have their machines at home. If you're diabetic, it is smart to own a blood sugar monitoring system so you can check on yourself. Or, ask your neighbor to spare you a strip and check your sugar for you. Diabetes Association will do it for you. And the Diabetes Association in some of the parishes, St. George's does, I know St. Mark's, St. Andrew's, St. David's. So, we have the Diabetes Association that will check your sugar. So, it's a good time to take stock. And you might find that luckily you are not out of range. But if you are, you have to think of, how am I going to fix this? Okay? That's what, and because some of the problems are fixable, very easily fixable early, just like how you fixed it before. Right? This is a good time to take it. And this is a time to make sure that you're in a state of health that if corona comes around, you're not as vulnerable, because we're all vulnerable in one way or the other. But we have to make sure that if corona does come around, that we're not as vulnerable.
Right. And so yes, we mentioned the hypertension, and there are other conditions. For example, people who have asthma, the respiratory problems.
Yes.
It is definitely not a good thing to get infected with COVID-19.
No, it's not a good thing to have any respiratory agent that will cause infection around. Because asthmatics have very active airways. They're very swollen. Just like when your nose block up, the airways are like that. They're very swollen, they're red, they get thinner because they swell and they stretch. And it facilitates the penetration of into the respiratory tract of by the virus. A lot of asthmatics, I hear, I walk and said, you're asthmatic, right? Yeah, what are you using? I have a pump. Where is it? At home? Yeah, the pump's supposed to work like you only pumps, like your shoes. Yeah, the pump's supposed to be your best friend if you're an asthmatic. And I tell you, so we have 2 pumps that we use. We have a brown pump, which is a steroid pump, and we have the blue pump, which is airways dilator. Because in asthma, 3 things happen when you have an asthmatic attack. 1, you have a lot of swelling, a lot of inflammation. 2, you have an exaggerated production of mucus. And asthmatics will tell you, once you can cough up that thick, tenacious, like, you know, can you boil starch? It's that thick. That mucus plug, they feel better because it blocks the airways, right? And 3, and you get the airways have muscles and they constrict. That's what the blue pump takes. People use that one a lot. But what they should be using every day is their brown pump. Because what that does is contain the inflammation, really control it, and that will decrease the amount of secretions that you have there. All that swelling and stuff. So if you should really be using your brown pump every day. 2 puffs in the morning, 2 puffs in the evening. Some people have combination pumps, but you should use it morning and evening. The blue pump is really your rescue pump when you know you have this constriction and you really can't breathe and wheezing. But I have people walking around and they're wheezing. I'm like, you're wheezing. The other thing is that asthmatics have to be very careful because they get so accustomed to the discomfort. Their body get accustomed to having shortness of breath. Yeah. But that's not a good thing because I've seen people who have died because their threshold for discomfort gets so high, but the body is not functioning well because there's not enough oxygen. I've seen young people die simply because by the time they get to the hospital, there's so much oxygen deficiency and you have all the electrolytic imbalance and you name it, right? Your brain dies and you die. Okay? So, again, if you don't understand how asthma works, go ask a nurse or ask a doctor. But I'm going to advise people, everybody who's asthmatic should have a brown pump. Okay, wonderful. All asthmatic should have a brown pump. Okay, because it's a steroid, yes, but it's inhaled steroids. It's very little steroids, but every asthmatic should, because that's what you need to use every day to prevent you from having the constriction where you end up going to hospital and you can't breathe and all the rest of it. Right? Right. Now, we mentioned asthma. I want to talk a little bit about people, diabetics that can develop or kidney problems and how serious that can be. But just before that, our telephone line has been going. Let's see who is with us on the program. Doctrine called. Well, we lost that one. Folks, the number is 435-2041. The line is open. Let's try again. Doctrine call. Good evening.
Good night. And how you all doing up down there?
Very good. Thank you. Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year to you. And Happy New Year to Dr. Is Nixon?
Nixon, yes. Hi, Happy New Year and thank you. Have a great New Year. Have a great year.
Brand new tonight, man. Brand new. You hear pat back in a nice style. You can swerve years tonight. You can swerve years.
New year, new things.
Yes.
New year, new hair.
You look handsome tonight. Thank you. Happy New Year. And may you live to see many more New Years. And
thank you.
Do you catch the voice?
No.
Okay, you remember I called you a time and I told you that you say mosquitoes bite and I told you mosquitoes sting? That's the same guy I call you now from St. Louis side. Yeah, mosquito doesn't bite, mosquitoes sting.
You're right, you're very right. But we don't argue nothing. Like, mosquitoes sting everybody, we know that.
Sting, not bite. Mosquito have no teeth, it sting. If you say sting, if you say stung, a mosquito stung me, you're right also. And I wish you all the best for the new year.
Thank you, sir. And the same to you. Stay well.
Your topic is a very good topic. Very good topic, yes. And keep on the good program. And come with more interesting topic like this one. No, and to your panelist there. The guy with the headphone is I'll just forget his name.
Yes, sir.
And that is what's his name again?
Godfrey Augustine.
Godfrey, man. Godfrey, that's a very good topic, eh?
Oh, it's nice to have people like that who lift our spirits.
Yeah, every time I tune on to you, man. Every time. But sometimes when you go off the line, I bring you back in the line. Like
thank you, sir. We need that at times.
It's a mosquito biting, mosquito sting. So have a good
night.
Thank you very much.
Have a great year.
Yeah.
And I listen to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much.
That's a nice way to start the year.
Oh yes indeed. Yes indeed. So yeah. So I wanted us to look now at the kidney failure. And of course everything with bearing on COVID-19.
So we talked about how diabetes works, right? And diabetes elevated blood sugar will attack your circulation, especially the small circulation. The most distant thing. The further you go, the smaller the blood vessels and the smaller the blood way gets, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Your kidney is very vital to your body's function because your kidney is the pathway that does all the cleaning.
Like a strainer.
The what?
Like the strainer.
The strainer, and a little more than that, a little more intelligent than a strainer.
Yeah.
But when rainfall, they close on the whole system. That can't happen, and sometimes our kidneys had to do not only with diabetes but also hypertension that comes in. This blood is pouring at very high rates, right? And you have these very small structures that are little sieves, right? And that will take out whatever toxins. If you have too much sugar, it's going to the blood vessels are going to get damaged. It's going to damage the glomeruli, which are the basic structures. Once your kidney cannot control the toxins, they're going to remain in your body.
Yes.
And they're going to make you unable to be healthy, to be normal. Always tired. You've seen people who are in renal failure. And although it tends to happen later in diabetes, because most people, if you've had diabetes for 20 years, by that time, you already start to have some kidney challenges, okay? Mm-hmm. But if your diabetes is really, really bad for 5 years, you'll also have kidney problems. If your diabetes is bad and if you have diabetes and you're not taking care of it, your sugar is always going to be elevated, and you're putting your kidneys under that. Again, what do we do? Really and truly, diabetics should be on people with diabetes, sorry. That's the correct thing to say, okay? Uh-huh. People with diabetes should be on medications that help to preserve the kidney. And some of the medications used for treating hypertension should be at least one medication should be there so we can preserve the integrity of the kidney and its ability to function. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't always happen. Not all doctors do it. Not all people want to treat medication. I don't have no pressure. No, it has nothing to do with whether or not you have pressure. It has to do with maintaining the integrity and the function of the kidneys. We really want to avoid getting to that point because kidney disease is so debilitating. Your immune system gets so very compromised. Your body often cannot even produce enough red blood cells. When your kidneys get very ill, you get severe anemia. That's another thing that makes your body weak and inability. If you don't produce red blood cells, you probably can't produce very much white either. So you get very ill, okay? So it's very important. And we really don't have facilities for giving people what they want when they come to that late stage where you have end-stage renal disease, where sometimes the only thing that will solve your problem is getting a kidney transplant. Uh-huh. We don't have that facility at all. But even dialysis, which does provide some relief and some care, is expensive and is not accessible to everybody.
That's right.
I don't know that anybody can spend, well, there probably are people. It's kind of hard to be able to spend $2,000 a week on your treatment alone. If you have to get dialyzed 3 times a week.
But there are people who don't even work for that kind of money. At the end of the month.
No, people don't work for $2,000 a month. Most people don't work for $2,000 a month.
That's exactly
so
my
try to imagine, right? So, and even if I were to earn that, I would hate to have to spend that on dialysis alone, because if you're on dialysis, you have other medications taken, and lots of other medications you're probably taking, you know? So, but of course, diabetes also, amputations, heart attacks, strokes, okay, kidney failure, blindness. Those are the other things that are going to happen if you do not control your blood sugar. Is it difficult? Sometimes a little tedious in the beginning, which is a question of creating new habits. So this is a good time. Go to your doctor, go get your nutritionist to help you to eat properly. Ask the people in the health center, or ask your doctor to send you for nutritional counseling with the person who provides the meals. To take care of, help you to take care of your habit, because trust me, I've had patients who have sent a nutritionist in the last 5-6 months who are very happy that they've gone, because they now can control better what they eat and have better control over their diabetes numbers.
Excellent. Okay, so folks, as I said, the line is open, 435-2041. If you have any questions you would like to ask, or you have anything you would like to contribute to the program, we are happy to entertain you. Again, the number 435-2041. Doc, you mentioned earlier anemia. What about people who refer to them as sicklers, the people who have sickle cell anemia?
So sickle cell is a chronic disease, a disease with which you're born. It's inscripted in your genes. You can't catch it, but if you have the gene, you can pass it on to your children. Okay? People with sickle cell also need to be very careful, because they tend to be, people with full-blown sickle cell disease tend to be very challenged as per their health. You know, your blood count is always low, you're always tired. There are ways that medications that they take now that prevent the cells from breaking down, because whereas we who don't have sickle cell, our red blood cells will break down every 90 to 120 days. In the case of the sickle cell, sometimes 20, 30 days, and their blood cells break down. That's why you see the jaundice, the yellowness in the eye, and all the rest of it, because their red cells are breaking so very quickly, right? So we know that those people with sickle cell are at an even greater risk, because if your cells are always breaking down, your immune system is not shooting as fast as it could, because your body is really struggling just to provide cells, just to live on a daily basis, right? Much less to have to be able to have the burst when you come in contact with any agent, whether it's a bacteria or virus. You need to have, send out the army there to fix it. Your body has to be able to mobilize those cells. But if it's having difficulty just staying alive on a normal day, just being able to function, try to imagine that. Right,
and clearly people like that should stay as far away from COVID as possible.
Oh yes, they should. They should, and some people have to go out there and do what they have to do, but you still have to wear a mask, you still have to wash your hands, so that you don't bring it to your face and stuff. And you still have to stay out of big crowds. They be talking about your bubble. Who's your bubble? I guess your bubble is a family, and probably 1-2 people might drive to work with your spouse or your cousin or your mother or your father, whatever it is. And then you go and you work in a place where, there are not a lot of people around you. But a mask is important. Everybody wear a mask under their chin and all of that. This chin guard thing is not pleasant, okay? This chin guard and under here, look, it's uncomfortable. But I've given 2 hour lectures with my mask on. And when I talk, I walk up and down.
Yeah.
Right? Is it comfortable? No, it's not. But guess what? It is what it is. And the more you wear a mask, the easier it becomes. I can tell you. Because some days I don't even realize I'm not wearing my mask. I'm wearing my mask.
Yeah, let's go to the telephone.
Yes.
Dr. Call, good evening.
Good night, Doc.
Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Doc, let me ask you something. We have some buses that keep stay something. And them buses, they have in those space, the driver, Lamont bus especially, I know if you know Lamont. They ain't wearing no mask, the conductor ain't wearing mask, the driver ain't wearing mask. It's something, we either wear mask or we wear mask. We have to get this straight in the ministry. They either charge people in tongue without mask, or let nobody wear mask. Because all these people in tongue, they should make them pay $100, everybody they catch in tongue without a mask. Give me a reply to that, doctor.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much.
But thank you. And I think that's a very good observation, because a very large percentage of our population uses public transportation. Okay? A large percentage uses public transportation. Now, a young man called me and asked me to give him a letter so that he doesn't have to wear his mask and he drives the bus. And of course, I was laughing him to scorn. I'm like, really? And this is a young man who has a chronic condition. And I still think, I looked at a comment today. They were commenting about the chief medical officer saying that people need to get the information. The ministry has to continue to educate. You have to tell people until they understand that that is what the norm is going to be. Bus drivers have a responsibility for the protection of the people whom they transport.
Yes.
When St. Lucia had their first surge a couple months ago, do you know who was responsible? A bus driver. He's the person who was COVID positive. Right? He's the one that spread it. Bus drivers have a responsibility. If you're offering a service, if you come to my supermarket, right, and my cabbage has worms, am I not responsible?
Oh, yes, you are. Mm-hmm.
If you come to my shop and my chicken spoil, am I not responsible? I'm supposed to give a certain standard of service. And if it includes care, it must. Because when I walk into food land, they better have the floor dry because I don't want to fall and break my foot. You got me? So in the same way, a bus driver, when I go to food land, I expect everybody in food land to be wearing their mask as much as I am. I expect that there's sanitizer at the door. Okay? I just want to tell people that when you defy the rules, because there's a reason why. This is not conspiracy. There is a reason why you're asked to wear your mask. And the reason why we don't have as much coronavirus is because we are wearing our masks and doing this stuff. We would have had a whole lot more cases. You saw what happened in Barbados last week? On the weekend with the bus crawl? I don't know why they allow these things anyway, right? Where the people who are out there dancing and partying take it and infect 165 prisoners. That's not fair to the prisoners because they're in a closed space. They're not going to sit and mingle with anybody. You're out of order to go out and party and come bring coronavirus in the prison. Right? So bus drivers have a responsibility and a duty of care to their passengers. A gentleman complained that he was getting to work late. His boss mentioned to me, older man getting to work late every morning simply because he refuses to go on the bus where they're not wearing masks. And if everybody think of their own safety, what's the longest trip in St. George's on a bus? 15 minutes? Right? 15 minutes to wear a mask? How long do you think it would take how long do you think you're going to have a ventilator in your face if you have corona and you're very ill? And a ventilator is not just a pretty mask you see people with and a little thing put on. A ventilator is putting a rigid tube down your throat, down through your windpipe, so you can get air in there. So they can push air. Push air. Almost like an accordion, pushing air down inside. Just how an accordion works, you push and the air comes out and hear the sound. They have to push air into your lungs because your lungs become so clogged that it can't move and breathe and exchange oxygen on its own. Okay. So think about the cost of wearing a mask for 15 minutes, 20 minutes on the bus, as opposed to not wearing a mask and wearing a face mask in the ICU. Okay. If you can get into ICU.
Let's go back to the telephone. Doctor and call, good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good evening, caller. Happy New Year.
Good evening. Yes, good evening. I have Happy New Year to you, and thank you very much for the program. I have not been diagnosed as diabetic because I've done A1C tests within the last 6 months, and I have been cleared. However, very often at nights I get up with my throat dry, and I must drink some water. What I am hypertensive and have heart conditions. What could this dry mouth be attributed to? It's not every night.
So what medication are you taking? Do you know?
Oh, fierce. Metoprolol, Lodipine. Sorry?
Metoprolol, and Lodipine, and what else?
And Valsicor.
I didn't hear that one.
Valsicor.
Okay. And do you take a diuretic? Do you want to make you pee-pee?
Oh, yes. Very annoying, but I do.
Right. So that is probably what's drying you out.
Okay.
So you have to kind of rehydrate from during the day.
I do drink a lot of water.
Yes, but you probably need a little more. And do you know which diuretic you're taking?
How you call it? This Perthmina.
Hydrochlorothiazide?
No. A very common one.
Indapamide?
No. Father, what's the name of it?
Bezide?
No. Oh gosh. It just slipped. It just slipped me.
Because sometimes you can change your diuretic to something that's a little gentler, like indapamide, that it kind of lasts throughout the whole day. So the diuretic is a little slower, and you don't get as dehydrated. But you have to drink water. You have to drink, and there's nothing wrong in having a sip in the night. Have a glass before you go to bed, although you probably get up to go to the bathroom. But it may be a diuretic.
Yeah, it is so inconvenient that sometimes I skip days.
Yeah, I know, but it's probably a diuretic. And look and see, because what you need to figure out is, how much do I have to drink so that I don't get so dry?
Mm-hmm.
And you can also take a diuretic at night. You might pee once or twice a night, but you can also take the medication at night.
But at night it will disturb the sleep, because normally I get up like 2-3 times a night to pass urine.
Yeah, but you can take your medication at night. That's an option.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't know what you're taking. We can't remember, but maybe you can ask them to change to something a little gentler.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay,
Happy New Year, and please keep that diabetes far away, and make sure we have control of that pressure, okay? Watch the salt.
Thank you very much, caller. Yes, indeed. It is 24 minutes onto the hour of 10 o'clock. Our telephone number is 435-2041. That's the number you can call. You have any questions or you would like to contribute, you can give us a call now. We'll be happy to accommodate you. All right. Doc, I want us to now move a little bit. We spoke about the chronic conditions. Aside from that, there are other activities that we can involve ourselves in. Of course, we know that we need to eat healthy, lots of vegetables, not too much starch, so that
protein.
Yes, protein, a lot of that. And then we combine that with some physical activities. Let's chat a bit here about that.
So I want to speak about physical activity in the context of the family. I want it to be a family thing, because by 8 o'clock, everybody inside, okay? And we out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I wish families will take it on themselves to develop their own exercise, their own physical activity program, because what we do, you have 3 children, mommy, daddy, grandma, and probably a cousin living in the house. I'm just saying, okay? Everybody has a handheld device, and granny have a TV. And we come home, we do homework, or whatever we have to do, housework, and everybody goes and resorts to the TV, take a shower, then have dinner, and chill. Whereas families can actually come together, because that's one of the things I'd like to see families do this year. I'm going to encourage them. Sit together and figure out how can we make our family healthier, right? Are we going to plant a little kitchen garden behind the house, park the car by the road and take the car park space and plant some lettuce and tomato and stuff? Or they're going to decide to take out some of the flowers, some of the things that not going to feed you. Because food security is very important. If we have lockdown, you can't get to market. If things get bad and people are sick, our farmers may not be there to provide. There's also a prediction that we're going to have a lot of challenges with getting food. Again, my favorite quotation is that they say that grass grow on bottle in Grenada because the soil is so fertile. They say you plant anything in Grenada on a bottle, it grows. So we still fortunate. I look at the amount of green, we still have waterways or rivers and stuff, there's still access. So I'm going to ask people to come to think about families. How can my family be healthy? Mm-hmm. Can we change what we eat to eat well? How can we produce what we eat? And you can always share with your neighbors, you know, if I have corn, you have peas, we share the thing, okay? You plant corn, I plant peas. Next time I plant corn, you plant peas, okay? And how can we get our family active? You don't have to do anything big. Put on music and dance. Right? Put on music and dance. Do Jerusalem challenge. Make your own challenge. Learn it. Do your own line dancing. You know, do your line dance. Do stuff. Ask everyone, you're going to create a dance for the week. Right? You laugh. Everybody gonna be laughing. Laughing makes you breathe. Breathing makes you make your stress go away. Walk in the yard if you have yard space. Walk in the veranda if that's all the space you have. Okay? Get active. Skip. Play Chinese skip. Play moral. Play hopscotch. All the foolishness. Play all the clap hand games and laugh and sing. Do it. We did it in medical school. I looked at us when I went to medical school and stress take you. Somebody said, okay, 15 minutes of ring game. I'm serious. And we'd play who stole the cookie from the cookie jar and all kind of foolishness, right? We played games and that kept us stressed out. And seriously, when you're under serious pressure, just getting together and laughing and who fall along and ring a rosy and all the foolishness, right? Do things. Take your childhood back, mothers. Teach your children, because our children don't know folk songs, they don't know some of those games and all the rest. Do that. I wish the Ministry of Education would, if we go back to online learning, would include the 15-minute exercise for our children, so that they get accustomed. Get them and dance. Put on music, everybody just dance in their house. That's okay. Get active. Get kids accustomed to getting active. To children who can't move because they are disabled children among us, they can move their hands, they can do something, whatever it is, as much movement as you're accustomed. And our grandparents who are there just sitting around, encourage movement. It is very important and it can be cheap. You can have a ball and play, throw the ball around, roll the ball, find the ball. People just get up and move. 20 minutes, half hour is what we need. And 20 minutes is 20 minutes more than a lot of us are doing currently. So don't be afraid, families. I want you guys to focus together. Sit, write a plan. The other thing I want us to do about, because, you know, we still have other things like natural disasters and fires and stuff. Sit and make sure you have a plan as to how you're going to handle the disaster, where is a safe place, what is the code, what is the numbers, who knows, learn everybody's phone number and stuff should something happen and we get separated. Because when we have COVID, let's say we had COVID and we had a hurricane, right? And everybody's going to the shelter. You think we have enough shelters? No, we don't, because we're still going to have to manage social physical distancing. So you must have a way how families can communicate, right? Where can we go? Where's the safe part of the house? What it is? Learn all those things. This is good time for families to restructure how they think in this context, because it will be necessary for us to be together if we all already have our own little bubble.
Right, wonderful. What about people, as we mentioned, exercise and so, there are people who have, serious rheumatic pains, arthritis, and they have difficulty getting around.
Moving, yes. So stretches, you go on the TV, you can find things, do a lot of stretches, even a little jig sitting in a chair makes a difference. Okay? Using resistant bands, a towel, right, to pull, try using a chair, get up, squatting, those simple things. It's just a matter of getting your body moving. Whatever you're doing whatever you're doing is less than what you should be doing.
And that will help.
And the more you exercise, the more you feel the need to exercise. And people with rheumatic problems and stuff really do need to, because they need to to loosen those ligaments and the muscles and stuff so that they can feel a little better.
What about, is there any reaction with exercise and the joints as it relates to the production of fluid to keep the cartilage from jarring and so?
Well, the cartilage, if it's gone, you'll have challenges with fluids, okay? But then you have to keep the joint working so that it can work. If you put your car in your garage at home, and you go for a year, when you come back, everything will be seized up.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay? Somebody has to turn it on, make the engine run a little, let the oil flow through, roll it out of the garage, roll it back in every so often. Alright? In the same way with our bodies, we don't use it, it gets painful, it gets tired, you go out and you walk until Friday, and you don't have to walk far, you can walk around the house. You could walk when you're in your church instead of doing prayer meeting, walk around the church.
Mm-hmm.
Walk up the road and down, although they have some people with ground plane there that they need to kill everybody on the road because everybody's speeding. But find ways. We have to get creative.
Indeed.
We have to get creative. And there's other things like Tai Chi and those kind of stuff that we can try and get involved in.
Yeah.
Because this is social distancing,
Yeah, and they're very good exercise as well. Keeps you in excellent shape.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So, folks, we really hope you're paying attention. This is very important information. Remember, we've just entered a new year. I know many people, I don't hear it as much as before, but once we start the new year, you hear about resolutions and, all of the things that people intend to do and all of that. Some people, they get through with some, they don't get through with some people don't ever get started. But nevertheless, you have resolution, and I am hoping that your top resolution for 2021 is to ensure that you have excellent health. Health is important. Ensure that you have your vital signs checked. Ensure that you know what your responsibilities are as a patient. And obviously something I wanted to just run by you briefly. It's something we have to do a program on, but briefly. As it relates to the responsibility of patients, do they have any? And if they do, what are some of the responsibilities?
You mean patients who have chronic disease or patients with COVID?
Yeah, well, both.
Yes, look. Patients have rights, first of all, right? In the health system, there are rights patients have. They have a right to be cared. They have a right to be cared for as far as you can give. They have a right to know what is going on with them. They have a right to say no thanks, right? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to cooperate if they remain within the system. They have a responsibility to take their medications. They have a responsibility. Sometimes it's a little difficult, the things we ought to do to stay well. But you have a responsibility to make sure and make an effort, right? Because when you go to the doctor, you go to the health center, you go to the hospital, wherever, and you say, okay, like the lady has some medication for high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
If she's not taking them because she might get dry, the doctor don't have any choice about her. That's her responsibility.
Right.
She can say to the doctor, look, what is the problem with this? I find my mouth is dry, and he say, probably XYZ. Okay? Patients have a responsibility to ensure that they collaborate with the healthcare providers. They have a responsibility to tell the doctor or their nurse or whoever it is, all that is happening to them. Sometimes they're scared, and I understand. People are scared, they don't want to find out what's going on. But they do have a responsibility to declare all that is bothering you so that your doctor can have information with which to work. Your doctor has a responsibility to listen to you and to make sure, as far as is possible, that he uses the information both from what you tell him and from when he examines you, and he should, right? That he can provide some form of care to mitigate whatever illness, to eliminate, to control whatever illness you may be having.
Mm-hmm.
But the patient has a responsibility to be a part of the team that takes care of his condition.
And how important is this responsibility? I mean, how would you rate it in terms of importance?
I think you have just as much responsibility as the person who gives you care. It is very important. And one of the things I ask people, and some of my patients do it, write down the questions you want to ask. I like stupid questions. You might think it's stupid. I know what you don't know. I know what you don't understand. Because when you ask a question, it reveals to me that you really have a misconception. And I can go back and say, no, you misunderstood. Here's what it is, right? I write a lot. My patients will tell you, I do a lot of graphics. So I always have paper on my desk that I'm always drawing something to explain to them. Ask a lot of questions, right? Become informed. Because I was just going to tell, one of the things I was going to ask people, go back and learn what the protocols are. Go back and learn what COVID is. That is your responsibility, right? Ask the ministry to put back on some of the tapes that they've had that they did in the beginning. If you don't think you have the concept of the whole thing, because I think part of the reason why people are not collaborating is because their concepts aren't clear as to what it is, and then they bombard with all kind of information that confuses them, right? Because I see information that if I didn't know better, I would be confused, and I feel sorry for people who don't have the kind of knowledge that me and my colleagues should be managing, right? And I've seen some of my colleagues become confused by information that is incorrect, right? And will tell, and other leaders, right, will tell people, our spiritual leaders have to be very careful with how they share information. Go and inform yourself before you create worse patients of people who are already patients. Because I've seen some religious leaders who believe otherwise and take all the conspiracy and they're trying to take blah, 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 right? Why people will die? Because we believe our religious leaders.
So we do have a responsibility, patients, and it's very, very, very important because the responsibility you have to yourself as it relates to your health, a lot of that can help a physician diagnose you properly so that you can start enjoying excellent health again. The number 435-2041. We're quickly getting close to wrap up time. It's now 10 minutes onto the hour of 10 o'clock. So, folks, we have a few minutes. If you have any calls, we would like to encourage you to do so now. The number again, 435-2041. That's the number you can call. So let's go to a telephone. Doctor and call, good evening.
Hello, hold on 1 minute.
Yeah.
Just call the final. Doc, good night.
Good evening, caller. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just call to find out something. A big toe, right? It just hurt me like that. Just saying that's hurt me. What causes that? When I put our shoes in it, it starts hurting.
No, tell him longer. What did he say now?
The big toe, my big toe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which is on my right foot. Right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just hurting.
How old are you?
I'm 51.
You're 51?
51. 51.
6'1".
5'1".
Do you have diabetes?
Yeah.
So, have you ever had your foot checked out by what we call a podiatrist or a chiropodist? Have you ever?
No.
So that is very important. Every diabetic should have had a baseline check and probably follow up if it's necessary. Do you live in St. George's?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you ask production to give me my number? I can tell my number because my number is very public. My number is 410.
Yeah, 410.
6789.
6789.
Yeah, because you really need to see a podiatrist. That is what. Is your sugar under control? Do you know?
Well, the last time I checked, it was okay.
No, give me a number, man. Okay, it's not okay. I like numbers. What was it? What was your HbA1c?
It was 120.
What was it? Do you do that test that you do every 3 months? Has the doctor ever sent you to do that test?
I normally check it in the health center.
Have they ever sent you to do an A1C?
Since before the lockdown.
So that's very important because that will give you an idea as you control over a certain period. So give me a shout tomorrow, please, okay?
Yeah.
And I'll see who I can direct you. Is that okay?
Yeah, what's your number again?
410-410.
410.
6789.
6789.
Yes.
Okay.
Call me and I'll try and direct you as to how to get this thing done.
Okay then.
Thank you very much indeed, caller.
Thank you for calling.
Yes. And folks, just so that you know, yes, we do the program, we try to inform, but it's also important to remember that if you do have an issue, you would need a proper examination by a physician, and you can visit Dr. Nixon. She's at the Bruce Street Mall, so you can go visit her, and she can, do a proper examination and, tell you what she find, and so, you can take it from there. But basically what we do here is to disseminate information, but in order to get a proper diagnosis, you would need to visit Dr. Nixon at the Bruce Street Mall so she can, look at you, talk to you, get some information about your background, find out what's up so that, your issue can be addressed. Let's go back to the telephone. Doctor and call, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, caller.
Godfrey.
Yes.
Good evening, Doc. I just want to know, if you have a bad teeth in your mouth, right? If you have a bad teeth, could that bad teeth result in heart disease, in heart disease and kidney problems also?
I didn't hear the half of the question. If you have a bad tooth, what?
Yeah, if you have a bad tooth, right? Can that result? Can that result in a bad heart, your heart going bad, or your kidney going bad also?
Our chief dental surgeon, Dr. Luba, will be happy to hear that question. And the answer is yes.
Okay.
Because sometimes we know that having bad teeth, first of all, limits what we eat.
Okay.
Okay? It limits the quality of food that we eat. So it might take a little longer. If you have bad tooth, you may not eat as much vegetables. You may not be able to eat as much meat. You probably eat more soft foods, which is probably more carbs and stuff. That's one thing. If you have tooth infection, you have bacteria going on that can actually infect your heart and cause kidney infections and other things. So, and we know that people with bad dental hygiene tend to have other problems, right? They contribute in some way or other to other chronic diseases. So yes, that's why it is very important. And that's one of the things I wanted to remind parents. And looking at the whole family care, dental care, it is important that we do preventative dental care. Very, very important. It is important that your child is taken to the clinic, to the doctor in the clinic, after he has his first 2 teeth. After those first 2 eruptions, take your child. Even if you're scared of the dentist, he's not going to be afraid, and we're going to break that cycle. Our children have on average 11, 18 caries per child. We should not have dental caries or rotten teeth. No, we should not, right? It's easy. Toothpaste is available. Toothbrushes are available. Things are available, and where they're not available, they're made available for children. So think about preventing a child from getting dental problems. If you're an adult who has dental problems, you should go to the dentist. You may need to take out the teeth that are bad, or you probably have teeth that can be restored. So do that, because they do contribute to heart problems, and especially infectious problems of the heart. You can get bacteria that get into the tooth socket and stuff that goes and vegetates. If you have bad valves and all the rest, the bacteria go down there and infect it. So the truth is, yes, to your question. So if you do have dental caries, please go to the doctor, get them out, or get treated, whichever way the dentist thinks is correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, caller. And Doc, I don't know if you realize it, but this has brought us to the end of our first program for 2021.
More
yes,
time.
Indeed. Yes, yes. The new vision. Folks, let me just go first and say that I want to continue to impress upon you the importance of paying very close attention to your health. It is very, very important. Your health can determine a lot of wonderful things for you, so please let us do what we have to do. Let us, as it relates to COVID-19, we have protocols to follow. Let us follow them. As it relates to chronic conditions, we know what we have to do. Cut down on the salt, cut down on the sugar, the alcohol, the tobacco, and all the things that can create problems for us. Let's avoid that and, live a little longer.
Yeah, this is a good time for parents to get their children, families, to get accustomed to drinking water as their preferred beverage. We've had all the crap we've had for the holidays. And as some people did it, I remember when Christmas time, when we were children, that's the only time we bought a case of soda. Did that happen? Case of red spot or
yes. And
Coke or Fanta, orange Fanta, orange and red and grape Fanta.
You get a whole one for yourself.
You get a whole one, right? Christmas Day. And that's the only time we bought sodas in our house. Yes, and you drink whole spawn lime juice and stuff, but it was brackish. Not a whole lot of sugar.
Yes.
We have really gotten accustomed to using our sodas or sweet drinks or sweet beverages or canned and preserved beverages that we buy in the supermarket in those pretty boxes. Trust me, all you pay for the boxes and a pound of sugar. That's what happens. When you have 30 teaspoons of sugar in one bottle of soda, you know you're going wrong. It will cause dental problems. It will cause you to develop diabetes because that amount of sugar in your system, your poor little pancreas can't produce enough insulin to always be controlling it every day. So I'm going to ask parents, again, our children are home for the week, let's get accustomed to giving them water. You can do flavored water and you can, get some, we have a lot of fruits around, flavored water. Get kids accustomed to drinking less and less sugar until water is all that you drink in your house, and then it's cheaper anyway. Right? So that is one of the first family things I would encourage people. We have seen childhood obesity, and childhood obesity has actually caused premature death because the obese children tend to develop diabetes and hypertension much earlier. So we've seen 13 and 14-year-olds who have the type of diabetes that their grandmothers have, and that is not what normally happens. Right? They should not have diabetes at all. And please take away those handheld devices that you buy them for Christmas and make them go outside and play. 15 minutes.
Yes.
Tell them go run up and down till they're tired.
Yes, indeed. Well, Doc, I thank you so very much for, accepting again the invitation to be with us on our first program for 2021. As a matter of fact, only today I was looking at the World Health Calendar and some of the special days coming up. And as they come around, we definitely will be looking at some of these conditions and, disseminate information so that you understand better how to deal with them and how to protect yourself. So thank you once again, folks, for staying with us. It was indeed a pleasure. We look forward to being with you. We're back here next Tuesday with another live Doctor on Call program. Happy New Year all, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yes, and we're here to conquer 2021 because we're really prepared for it.
Yes, indeed. Have a good night, folks.
Everybody. Happy New Year.
All the best. Yes, indeed.